Welcome back to Anderson Acres. It is time to talk about another chicken breed. And today we are going to talk about the Hamburg. Now, this is a European breed, and despite having a German name, most of the genetic contribution for the Hamburg when it was first formed as a breed came from the Netherlands. So, German name, kind of Netherlands in origin, all those countries are pretty close together, so things kind of bleed together sometimes, especially when you're a chicken and nobody really keeps track. So, this is not really an ancient breed, but it's also not a new breed. It's kind of in the middle. In fact, it was exhibited at the first poultry show at the London Zoo in 1845. So it's been around a while, but it's not one of those ancient breeds like the jungle fowl or anything like that. It did take human intervention to turn it into what it is today, but it's not brand new. So most of us have seen a Hamburg at some point, even though they're not a common breed, because there's a lot of pictures of them when you start looking at chickens. When you start researching chickens, how to look after your chickens, you're going to see pictures of Hamburgs. So even if you didn't know you saw a picture of a Hamburg, you probably did, just because they've been around so long that if you even look at pictures of older poultry shows, there's going to be some Hamburgs there. So you might not know you saw them, but you probably did. For a long time, they were one of the most popular breeds at poultry shows. The British Hamburg Club was formed in the early 1890s. It wasn't long after that regional clubs started to form, especially in like Wales and Scotland and northern England. There were a lot of regional clubs that specialized in the Hamburg, so it was actually quite common at the time. It was popular as an egg layer and could be used for meat. But then World War I happened, and there was a food shortage, and there was an animal feed shortage, and what you really needed were breeds. You had to focus on breeds that could give you eggs, but also were really good meat chickens. So you needed a really good dual-purpose breed. Forgive the chewing. Gemini is chewing on a box. But anyway, rabbit's chewing on a box. We're going to ignore the chewing. But so like a lot of breeds that were not specific, that were not specifically dual purpose, they weren't big enough to be great meat chickens and they didn't lay a ton of eggs, the Hamburg kind of fell out of popularity. Its numbers declined, and they never really truly recovered. Luckily, it didn't disappear. It did survive because of a few dedicated breeders, but it never returned to the numbers that it had prior to World War I. Now, there are a few different colors. You can get black, which is kind of common here. Honestly, the silver spangled is more common. Gold spangled is pretty cool. There's also a silver penciled and a gold penciled variety. So where you live will determine what is common in your area. I think we have one Hamburg breeder, and he only breeds the silver spangled. So that's what you see here. But if your area has a lot of black breeders, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see the black Hamburg. If you live in an area where people have the gold penciled, that's what you'll see. So you might have seen a Hamburg, but you might not have seen all the colors of Hamburg. Because like I said, they are not super common anymore. They really didn't recover after their initial decline. One of the other reasons they're no Gemini. Sorry. One of the other reasons they're not super popular is because they are really active birds who have a real need for space. They don't do well with confinement, so they're not suitable for small coops. They need to be able to either free range or have very large runs. And they tend to be more expensive birds, so people tend not to want to free range them because of their price. So you end up either not keeping Hamburgs because they don't tolerate confinement well, or you end up needing to build really large runs so that they can really have the experience of free ranging but still being safe. Gemini is causing a problem. Problem when I film here beside her. Anyway. They are difficult to breed, which is one of the reasons why they haven't completely recovered in their numbers. Their fertility tends to be low. The hatch rate for Hamburgs tends to be lower than other breeds. So they are a little bit more difficult to breed. which contributes to their low numbers. But if you do get your hands on some of these birds, they are really attractive, and they can be sweet if you raise them from young. All right, they are an exhibition and ornamental breed today, but they can do decent in the egg-laying category. They can lay about 170 to 200 eggs a year per hen. So you can keep them and have a decent amount of eggs. They're not leghorns, but who is a leghorn? So you can have them just to have eggs if you like the way they look, but they are a more expensive bird. And if you do get yourself a breeding pair, it is really quite encouraged to hatch as many eggs as you can, just because their numbers are still so low. There aren't a ton of people who have them. So if you do get the chance to hatch some of those eggs and contribute to their population, that would be excellent. So that's about it for us here today at Anderson Acres. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the Hamburg. We'll see you tomorrow.